One of the things I find really interesting at the moment is that the mainstream media's ability to shape and control the narrative, that influence that they have is clearly on the decline. We, of course, saw before the last set of elections, talk about Westminster wallpaper as if it was the number one thing in the country. And then, of course, following on from that, Labour got an absolute kick-in the polls. Something I suspected would happen. And of course, if you listen to a lot of the media narrative, the Conservative government were basically on their last legs, that Labour would be, 10, 15 points ahead in the polls. And this isn't necessarily about whether you're for the Conservatives at the moment, if you're someone that's turned away from them, what your political allegiance is, but just consider what the narrative is a lot of the time at the moment. Well, here's a reality check of where British public opinion actually is. Because where it actually is, in the last week or so, Labour have actually lost support. That's right, Labour have actually lost support. And the Conservatives have gained a little bit of support. Which means that the Conservatives are now leading in the polls again. That's right, leading ahead of Labour. Which I think, again, if you're the Labour Party looking at that, they are in a very, very bad place. Mid-term government, been taking an absolute pasting in the media, and Labour are still behind. You'll see there as well, the Greens are on double digits now on 10%, Lib Dems down on 7%. And Reform UK, interestingly enough, Reform UK up 1 on 5. That means Reform UK actually aren't that far off overtaking the Lib Dems now. Now, I'm not saying there aren't things in this poll that should concern Boris Johnson and the Conservatives, because there clearly are. For instance, 9% of 2019 Conservative voters now plan to vote Reform UK, and 10% of 2016 Leave voters plan to vote Reform UK. And of course, there'll be electoral tests in December, because you've got two strongly Conservative, strongly pro-Leave, pro-Brexit seats having by-elections in North Shropshire and Old Bexley and Sidcup. So the performance of the parties in those electoral contests will be interesting. And you've also got the fact with YouGov now that Keir Starmer is still ahead of Boris Johnson on the best PM question. Of course, I previously reported Boris had absolutely whopping leads previously. But yeah, look, regardless of who you intend to vote for, what your outlook is on this, I just think it's interesting to look at British public opinion and how that so often contrasts with what the bubble convinces itself is the feeling of the country, when so often it actually ain't. And as I repeat it, for Labour at this stage of the electoral cycle to still be behind the Conservatives as the opposition party, that is pretty devastating for Keir Starmer's party. Let me know what you make of all those numbers, guys. Do they surprise you or not? Who do you intend to vote for at the next general election? And I'll keep bringing the very latest, so make sure you have hit subscribe and the bell. And of course, thanks for watching.